My wife cheated on me with a wealthy investor and said it was just to learn about personal finance. I didn't expect to post this here, but I really need to share it. Everything in my life feels chaotic right now, and I'm not sure where to seek help or guidance. My wife cheated on me with a wealthy investor. She tried to justify it by saying she was learning about personal finance. I'll begin at the start. I've been with my wife for 7 years, and we've been married for 5. She's 36 and I'm 39. We've experienced challenges like any couple, but I believed we had a solid base of trust and love. We both had normal jobs, and although we weren't wealthy, we were content and satisfied. About a year ago, my wife, whom I'll refer to as Anna, started to take a keen interest in personal finance. She began reading books, watching YouTube videos, and going to seminars about it. I supported her new passion. I was glad she wanted to improve our finances and create a better future for us. I really don't know much about finance. I only knew about basic investments like mutual funds. I didn't know much about investing beyond that. I only have a basic understanding of mutual funds, nothing in depth. I don't really invest in that, except for a required tax-saving scheme. I have a marketing background and not much experience in finance. I usually consult my tax advisors for tax and exemption matters, like many others do. As finance influencers gained popularity on social media, Anna became curious about it too. She wanted to understand the stock market and cryptocurrency. The stock market is something I get because it's been around for a long time, but crypto is just too confusing for me. I started attending some virtual seminars with Anna, but the whole idea felt really strange to me. Everything was going well until she started spending more time with a wealthy investor she met at one of the seminars. Let's call him D. She said D was a mentor, showing her how to invest and build wealth. The idea of mentoring is becoming more popular in America. These days, it seems like everyone is calling themselves a mentor. She eventually stopped putting in money for the household expenses. She mentioned that she was putting money into our future, so I shouldn't complain about it. I allowed her to do it because I had faith in her. I took care of all the household bills by myself. At first, I didn't pay much attention, but as weeks turned into months, their relationship began to show some clear warning signs. Anna started hanging out with D a lot, usually staying up late. She said she had a day job, so the evening was the only time she could dedicate to her passion. When I shared my concerns, she became defensive and made me feel small for not knowing much about investment. She laughed at me, claiming that one day she would make us wealthy, and then I would wish I had backed her. I was there for her in every way possible. She didn't want me to ask about her whereabouts, her return times, or her actions. I did my best to stay out of it, but when she showed a clear red flag, I knew I had to pay attention. She began to dress in a more provocative way, but I chose not to mention it. I had never said anything about her clothes before, so I stayed silent this time too. She started ignoring our relationship, so I brought up my worries with her. She brushed them off again, claiming she was doing this for our future. I need to be understanding and not critical. I began to distance myself from her because I was tired of carrying the weight of the relationship by myself. I expected her to see the shift in how I acted, but she didn't. She focused so much on learning about investments that she completely overlooked me. We were just housemates and hardly talked unless it was necessary. We rarely saw each other, even while living in the same house. After her day job, she attended her seminar or mentorship class. One evening, I walked by the seminar hall where her mentor D held the finance class. I felt a push to go inside and see what the seminar was about. I walked in and noticed a completely different event happening. I inquired with the security staff about whether D's company's seminar took place daily. He said it doesn't happen often, and the last seminar was months back. When I stepped outside, I noticed some young men in t-shirts featuring the name of the finance influencer. I went up to them and found out they were trying to get everyone to join the finance masterclass. I gathered all the information from them. The seminar happened every 2 to 3 months, led by the influencer. Mentorship classes were handled by mentors like D and cafes. They mentioned it wasn't a daily class, but a weekly one, scheduled from 7 to 9 p.m., and he would come home after midnight. I noted the cafe's details and walked away. The following day, I inquired if Anna had class that day. She replied briefly, "I have classes every day." I said nothing. From what I found out on the last day, the class was only on Saturdays, and that day was Thursday. After work in the evening, I went to that cafe and saw her sitting close to Dee, his hands on her waist and his lips on her cheeks. They were talking quietly to one another. It was tough to see them looking at each other like that. I kept my distance to take in what I was witnessing. I attempted to record some video clips because she would claim it was completely different. I waited until they were engaged in a more private moment. He was licking her ears and causing all kinds of trouble, and I recorded everything. As they leaned in for a kiss, I took a seat at their table across from them. Anna stood still as AP looked on in confusion. I mentioned I was her soon-to-be ex-husband, and he laughed. Anna mentioned she could explain, so I told her to continue. She mentioned it was a one-on-one mentoring session. I said, "Sure, he was mentoring you mouth to mouth." AP got up from the table, laughing at what happened. He acted like a player. I directly asked Anna if she had been with AP. She agreed, but it was just a part of the investment deal. What kind of agreement was that? She claimed it was just part of her learning about personal finance. She said that Dee had promised her she could make a lot of money after finishing the classes and following his instructions. What did he request? To share a bed with him. She agreed. I realized she was making an effort as well. I told him to come up with some random excuses to protect her image. I went along with it for a while. I inquired if she did it against her will. She said no, it was consensual. I said she liked it. She claimed she didn't, but she did it to ensure our future. I completely lost it and shouted at her, asking who gave her the job of securing our future. I told her she didn't have to worry about mine. I could handle it myself. I yelled at her loudly enough that others looked over from nearby tables. I got up and walked out of the cafe. She came outside and reached for my arms. I dismissed her and told her she could go be with her mentor and didn't need to come to my place. I returned home feeling crushed. My trust in her was broken, and I couldn't believe she had pretended to learn personal finance to hide her cheating. A few minutes later, Anna showed up. She mentioned that it wasn't for enjoyment. She got into his life to figure out how to make money. I told her to go home. She insisted it wasn't cheating. She doesn't have any feelings for the AP. It was purely a business arrangement. I have no idea what kind of business she was involved in. I told her that there was no reason to sleep with her mentor to learn about personal finance. She could make real money instead. She got mad at me and said she would show me I was wrong. She told me I was too basic to grasp this new idea. She started saying things like, "I'll show you how much I can earn. I'm getting into influencer marketing, and you all just don't get how important it is to invest early," and so on. She said I'd end up retiring with no money, relying only on the state pension, while she'd be a billionaire by then, and I'd regret my choice. I told her she could do anything she wanted, just not when she was with me. She gathered her things and walked out. She returned 2 days later on Saturday. I was on the couch browsing something. She glanced at me and said, "No, I'm not here to plead or apologize. I'm just taking my things." I stayed silent. She grabbed it all and left. She showed no regret for what she did. She prioritized her infidelities over our relationship. I'm discussing with my lawyer about serving her the divorce papers. I hope it doesn't get prolonged. We don't have much money to argue over, so I think it will go smoothly. Let's take a look. We'll provide an update when everything is finished. Update 1. I appreciate all the support and advice from everyone. I wanted to share a quick update on my divorce. Not much has changed since the divorce, so this will be a brief update. Many people said that Anna was far from understanding personal finance. It felt more like a scam than a real investment. Honestly, I don't know much about it, but one thing is clear. If someone promises quick money and double or triple returns, something is off. Making money honestly is not easy, and it takes time. Anyway, it's no longer my issue. Last week, my divorce was finalized. It went well. I don't have any significant wealth that she would have contested. We lived in a rented condo. When it comes to alimony, her earnings were nearly the same as mine. She cheated, so I didn't have to pay any alimony. The joint account got closed, and we split the money. Since we don't have kids, there was no issue with child support. I'm really glad we don't have kids. the situation would have been really complicated. Now, I understand why many Americans are hesitant about having kids due to this uncertainty. It's not as simple as it seems. I still can't get over her cheating. She keeps saying that I'll come crawling back to her for reconciliation once she gets rich from her personal finance tips. I wish them good luck. She claimed that the reason for our divorce was my insecurity about her success. She called me controlling, jealous, and other things. I smiled as I listened, then shared the video I recorded of her cuddling with AP. She hid her face after that. Friends were quick to switch sides. The last I knew, she was staying with her mom while going through the divorce. She shows no regret for what she has ruined. I can't tell if she's genuinely interested in personal finance and investing, or if she's just using it as a reason to get into AP's bed. If she manages to get her finances in order, that's great for her. I don't want money that comes from cheating. Recently, I started watching a lot of videos on investing. I might be rushing to a conclusion, but it seems there are plenty of free videos available online that provide enough information for beginners. I really don't think you need a mentor for this. It's something you can learn on your own. I'm currently trying to avoid any discussions that include her. It was exhausting me mentally. I started painting again to keep my mind busy. I joined a fitness club to lose some extra weight. I'm working on eating better and managing my alcohol intake. I was drinking a lot before my divorce and ended up gaining a lot of weight. I will keep the thread updated if there are any changes. Update 2. Hi everyone, I have an update to share. Thanks for the support and the useful links about investment knowledge. It was quite useful. As everyone pointed out, it wasn't a finance class, it was a scam. Absolutely. In this update, Anna got scammed. Do you recall that finance influencer who hosted seminars? He turned out to be a scammer. He tricked people out of their hard-earned money, claiming he could give them big returns. Anna invested about 30% of her income in that scheme for big returns. I also heard she sold some of her solid assets. She wanted to include her family heirloom diamond ring and her platinum necklace in the investment game. It seems like it was all just a scam. An influencer is fleeing as his teammates, including the APD, have been taken into custody, and the investigation is underway. After the news broke, Anna faced ridicule from everyone she had bragged to about her future wealth. She was showing off her new knowledge and looking down on those who didn't know much about investing. After the news broke, everyone who was ridiculed by Anna started going after her and laughing at her. Clearly, one of my friends mentioned that she had blocked most of the people who were making fun of her. She has deactivated her social media account because people were tagging her in posts about that finance influencer. She supported him, so it was expected that people would treat her that way. It's not wise to celebrate before achieving success, and that's exactly what she had been doing all along. I have made a lot of progress. I have lost the extra weight. I'm into muscle training, and I enjoy it. I started painting again, and it feels great. I haven't jumped into dating yet. It's not about moving on from the past. I'm just not prepared for it yet. I appreciate all the support. Update 3. Last month, everything changed dramatically. 1 week after my last update, someone showed up. It was Anna. She seemed really unhappy. She mentioned that she got scammed. AP and his fraudulent influencer boss tricked hundreds of people and escaped with their money to another country. Wasn't AP taken into custody based on the latest news? I asked her. She refused. AP and a few other supposed mentors were close to the influencer, and they managed to escape just in time. The other team members were held back since the main culprits were not present. I asked her if she was here because AP had run away. She said no, but she loved me. She made it clear that we needed to sit down and talk. I told her we were divorced, so there was no reason to talk. She said, "I've already faced karma. I lost a lot of money and respect. People are laughing at me. You came out on top. What else do you want? I want peace. I wanted her out of my life. And at that moment, I wanted her out of my house. That's what I wanted." Then she added, "Now that you know there was nothing between me and D, we can get back together. If there was anything, he would have taken me with him, right?" I replied, "No, he wouldn't have taken you because he had many others like you, sleeping with him to learn some silly money-making tricks. He can't manage all his rig height?" She asked me to reconcile, insisting that she wasn't in any emotional relationship with AP. She was tempted by the idea of getting rich quickly. I made it clear that reconciliation was not an option. I had moved on a lot by then, so her pleas didn't bother me at all. If she had asked for forgiveness when her affair came to light, I might have considered it. I'm not sure. After witnessing her true colors, I won't be fooled into trusting her again. She returned when she had nothing left. She kept mocking me as she left the house, and throughout the divorce, she showed no remorse. After losing everything, she turned to me. It was hard to believe. I asked her to go because I needed to leave for my fitness class. She mentioned that I appeared younger and fit, then asked if I was seeing anyone. I said it wasn't her concern. She began to cry, saying I was being rude to her. I told her she should appreciate that I was civil and actually listened to her. After what she did to me, she shouldn't be allowed inside my house. I was a polite man who kept her company. She took my hands and kept apologizing. I told her that crying and begging didn't matter to me anymore. I cared for her a lot, but now I've let those feelings go. She walked away when I became distant to her requests. A few days later, her mother reached out and asked if we could meet up. I inquired about the reason. She mentioned it was urgent and important, and we couldn't talk about it on the phone. I met her for coffee the next day. She said sorry for Anna. I hugged her and said it wasn't her fault, so she didn't need to apologize. She was always kind to me. Even during the divorce, she didn't speak poorly of me, unlike Anna. She asked me if I could make up with Anna since she felt really sorry for what she did. Anna was always crying and seemed to be getting more depressed. She expressed concern that Anna could become suicidal after losing all her savings, part of her monthly salary, and some valuable jewelry, which I mentioned in earlier updates. I had no idea Anna had lost her savings too. Anna was always focused on saving money, and I'm certain she had at least $100,000. Experiencing a significant financial loss can deeply affect someone's mental health. I asked her how getting back together would help her deal with the depression from losing money. She mentioned that Anna truly cared for me, and during that tough period when she had lost everything, she could find some happiness in having me around. I felt bad for Anna. I briefly thought about reconciliation, but it didn't last long. I changed my mind about not taking her back. I told her I couldn't continue. My feelings had changed. Once more, she found herself crying and begging for help to save her daughter from depression. I stuck to my choice and told her to take Anna to therapy. She required counseling more than a partner. Xmill was let down when I declined her request, but she got where I was coming from. There was something else that would have upset Anna, and that was my investment journey. I watched some finance YouTubers who helped me grasp personal finance and investing concepts at both macroeconomic and fundamental levels. That information was really useful for creating my portfolio. What do you think? I'm already in a good profit position. I recently started investing in the stock and bond market. Crypto trading is still confusing to me, and I prefer to stay away from things I don't understand. I'm taking my time, focusing on one thing at a time. Understanding the stock market has reinforced my view that making money takes time. It requires patience. I'm hoping to come out of this stronger. I don't think I'm ready to date yet. Appreciate all the support and kindness. I walked out on my husband without explaining anything. I discovered that my husband was intending to cheat on me with a woman from his company who is in a different branch. He goes to that branch 2 times a year. She comes to see us 2 times a year. They had been flirting for 6 months and were set to sleep together last Friday when she was over. I sent my husband a picture of me in new lingerie about an hour before her plane landed, and he was supposed to pick her up. He mentioned he would be working late and then going out for drinks with his colleagues, so I shouldn't wait for him. I said that I was his dessert after the lobster pasta I'm making. He enjoys lobster pasta. He got home in less than an hour. He mentioned he was happy he decided to come back. Are you saying you want to avoid work? I expect that. Sure, he replied. I lack the energy to confront him or let him know that I'm aware. I don't want to hear any excuses or apologies. The lease is under his name since I moved into his apartment after we got married, and we haven't found the home we're saving for yet. I don't have to think about that. Our savings and joint accounts are straightforward to access and split, and I can handle that the day before I leave. I found a 12-month subcontract for an apartment today. If I get selected, I can move in on October 1st. I'll give him the papers and say it's because I'm bored with our relationship and no longer in love. I believe that's the best option. Update 1. I just signed a sublease. I'm ending my marriage at the end of the month. Hello everyone. I hope you recall B. Before I get into my ordinary life, I want to know who asked for my lobster pasta recipe. What happened? I'd love to see your dishes. I signed the lease. It's a sublease for 12 months, then it goes month to month until the owner sells the apartment. I'm really glad I found it. I feel like I have a new lease on life. I've been experiencing pain and despair for weeks. I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm determined to leave without explaining why. This seems like the only way to handle this pain without going crazy or losing my self-respect. Several people questioned how that would reflect on me. I really don't care. People who care about me do so without conditions, and those who judge me, does their opinion really matter? Update 2. I filed for divorce. It was my first night in the apartment. This weekend, I was really productive. I couldn't move on Sunday, but I was lucky to get the keys on Thursday. I packed my clothes quietly, and yesterday, the moving truck arrived to take all my belongings and furniture to my new place. I updated my address to my parents' place so my husband won't find out my new address if he searches for it online. My new apartment felt dark and really small. I started crying uncontrollably. I have held back my tears for a long time, and now I finally feel safe enough to be vulnerable. At dinner time, my husband began flooding my phone with messages after I left him a note saying I was done with our marriage and had filed for divorce. I intended to cut him off for good, but after countless messages and missed calls, I finally gave in and picked up the phone. He was confused and panicking, but I kept telling him that I wasn't in love with him anymore and that I was bored in our marriage. He didn't understand and asked me to come back and clarify. He began looking for other options. Perhaps I was tired of my job or our apartment. We could consider moving and starting fresh somewhere else. I couldn't keep quiet and just said, yeah, maybe we can move to the city where the other woman lives. That would be really convenient for you. He paused for a moment and then inquired what I was referring to. The main office is there, so you have a better chance to move up in your career. He paused for a moment and then said, listen, I don't care about my career right now. I care about you. I care about you, and I don't want to lose you. He goes out of his way to ensure I'm happy. I told him the best thing he could do was leave me alone and accept that it's over. The sooner he understood that, the better it would be. I ended the call. I think I should get a new phone number since I can't trust myself to ignore him again. I felt really let down for speaking to him after I had chosen not to. My in-laws called and asked for an explanation. I told them I wasn't in love anymore and wanted to leave. They are both unsure. Overall, it's preferable that they don't know the true reasons. I prefer them to be confused instead of feeling sorry for me or, even worse, trying to justify his actions and asking for my forgiveness. I'm much better like this. I don't believe lawyers are necessary. We have no shared possessions and no kids. I already took my share of the savings and I was never on the lease for his apartment. I don't think we need lawyers. I have already submitted my divorce papers to the court. Whether he signs or not, I will be divorced in 6 months if he agrees. Or it could take 1 to 2 years if he doesn't sign, and I have to reapply every 6 months.